Reality is a puzzle, crafted by the powerful. We seek the pieces they don't want you to find.
This is Darknode, and tonight we ask, did we inject ourselves with hope or something far more dangerous? What if the greatest threat we faced wasn't the virus, but the cure we were offered? What if the one thing we were told would set us free was in fact the first link in a chain we didn't see being forged? These are the questions that started my journey. The questions that turned me from a passive believer into a concerned citizen. Because once you start asking, you realize the story we were sold as science and safety might be one of the most successful marketing campaigns in human history. Looking back, it all feels like a dream, doesn't it? The fear, the lockdowns, the daily briefings that held the world captive. We were told to trust the plan, stay home, wait for the miracle, and do our part. The miracle arrived in record time, a product of Operation Warp Speed, and it was presented as the only path back to the world we had lost. We were united in our hope for this solution, this key that would unlock our doors. We placed our trust in the experts and the officials, because why wouldn't we? It was a social contract, a duty. But every contract has fine print, and it appears we weren't encouraged to read it. When you filter out the noise, two unsettling theories begin to take shape. The first is about motivation. The idea that the relentless global push for mandates and passports was never just about public health, but was instead a Trojan horse for unprecedented profit and a new architecture of societal control. The second is about the product itself. The theory that we were all subjected to a novel medical technology with unknown long-term consequences, and that the official narrative actively ignored the warning signs in favor of a unified, simple message that it was unequivocally safe.
They can silence one voice, but not a network. Like, share, and subscribe to stay connected.
Let's follow the threads, starting with motivation. We were told mandates were for public health. But let's talk about the profits. In 2021 alone, Pfizer cleared over $81 billion. Moderna, a company that had never brought a product to market, became a global titan. When wealth on that scale is at stake, can we truly believe public health is the only driver? Or is it just good business to have a product the world is forced to take, especially when governments shield you from all liability? But this goes beyond money and into control. Remember the vaccine passports? They were sold as temporary, but they laid the groundwork for a permanent digital identity infrastructure, one that links your health status to your very access to society. Is it merely a coincidence that this technology, long promoted by groups like the World Economic Forum, became essential just as we were at our most vulnerable? It raises the question of whether this was a solution designed for a crisis, or a crisis that was perfect for a pre-designed solution. Then we have the matter of the long-term effects. We were told the vaccines were safe and effective, but what does safe mean without long-term data? We were the long-term data. The mRNA technology was new for mass deployment, and dissenting voices from credible scientists who urged caution were systematically silenced and deplatformed. Why was asking for more data treated as a crime? And what about the signals from the VIRES database? Despite being told correlation isn't causation, the sheer volume of adverse event reports for these specific products compared to all others in history is staggering. When did an abundance of caution become a conspiracy theory? From the rise in myocarditis in young men to the strange reports from embalmers of unusual blood clots, each signal was dismissed as rare, mild, or simply unrelated. How many coincidences are required to form a pattern? Of course, there is the official story, and it is straightforward. The world faced an unprecedented crisis that demanded an unprecedented response. The profits, though vast, were the result of a high-risk gamble to save lives. Mandates and passports weren't about control, but were a necessary public health tool to prevent the collapse of our hospital systems and allow society to reopen. They argue that the choice was a simple one: inconvenience or mass death. On the question of safety, health authorities stand by the data showing the vaccines are overwhelmingly safe and effective. They maintain that mRNA technology is built on decades of research, that its components leave the body quickly, and that the risk from a COVID infection itself is far greater than any risk from the vaccine. To them, the VARS data is raw, unverified, and misleading, and the benefits of vaccination have been proven to far outweigh the risks for the vast majority of the population. It was, in their view, a simple calculation. So we are left with two scripts for the same moment in history. One is a tale of scientific brilliance and global cooperation triumphing over a deadly threat. The other is a darker story of opportunism, control, and a massive, unsanctioned medical experiment. The most confusing part is that you can find evidence for both. I don't pretend to have the answers, only the questions that haunt me. The story isn't over yet, and we are all living through the consequences, whatever they may be. And every time a new crisis emerges that demands a simple solution, I can't help but wonder, what part of the script are we on now?
This is Darknode, where the noise ends and the patterns begin. Like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the forbidden, the hidden, and the untold.